remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. I guess we'll press it. You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands. Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilda's gloves has any signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilda sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark-coloured stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilda's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands? What's the truth here? This is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it. I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream. You didn't see anything? Oh yes, sir. That is to say, no, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir? I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir, I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have had a good view of London streets, no? That's not relevant. Oh, please. You didn't even see that? It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir. It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo! Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we would have seen. You can't even see their faces. And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight of the roof of the omnibus. That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember I was shivering. It was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh? Why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. You can lock it? It was locked? That's right, and it was a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb on the roof deck and look longingly into the warm cabin below. Oh, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring. Long and hard, I did. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might not have been able to. They literally said they couldn't see their faces. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck. Is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? My golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area of this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated? Right underneath.
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. Ah! That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Ah!
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Nuttleholder? Can we? I honestly don't know. Who could have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? What happens when we say we have no idea? Oh shoot, oh well. I'm just throwing out possibilities. I have literally no idea. But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on! This isn't just a case of going on, Mr. Sato. Alright then, I'll go on. The defense would like to put forward a name. You are a fool. The response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learnt. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. Alright then. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... Well, I can think of no one else. Because we weren't there, obviously. I don't know how to drag him into this. Nor this guy. He's the Oh, hold on a second. No. He was sitting on the opposite. We have a photograph. Never mind. He was the driver. These two were on the roof deck. So we literally only have McGilded, our client. Suppose that changes things. Don't know what, but let's go for it. The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant!
Objection!
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Lord von Zeeks! People talk of these tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side, according to our witnesses. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built. But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night. A third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands. Both of them.
Objection.
And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary. Order! 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 What exactly are you postulating?
Objection.
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused. But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't make out their faces. Did you not hear? Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them though. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. The audacity! You call yourself a hatter? The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be so sure? Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would have undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact. Well, you're not going to freaking believe him. He's the defendant. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he travelled. Ah! He's right. If there was another person travelling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilder would have been aware of it. Should we bring him to the stand? Order! There is clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he would have already made a false statement to the police. But what if there was some reason why he was unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it would have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not? Or just do it. We need to know. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say. Get the man out there! Say! It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something needs doing, get it done! That's how I run things at the guild. Hearing what the patron of my favourite little park has to say, oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Should have been clear from the outset, but... I don't know. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure I have, my lord. There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person were indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police? Begad, no! 'Tis not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell yous all, or keep me mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded? The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger. It's true! Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it happened. You... What?! No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, Sir Lord Von Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a good reason, I assure you. Which was... Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this courtroom, just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. And who was this young child of whom you speak? Well, I don't know. You don't know? Aye, well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. Never saw her or since. Before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witnesses' statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Smoke! Ah, fire! There's a fire! Look, someone's trying to get away! I can't. What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face! Bailiff, don't let the accused escape! Secure the omnibus! I hereby call an emergency recess! Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom! Good heavens! We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Naruhodo, I managed to find out what happened. Mr. Sato, I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade! Good heavens, it's affecting my reading. A type of exploding device that releases smoke. Smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use. Just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGilder was just talking about? My thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. What's become of Mr. McGilder, actually? There's so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that's troubling me. What's that? The 20 pence. According to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. But now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers, which means the figures don't seem to add up again. Oh, she's right. That is strange. What's going on here? Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed into the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We're going straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough, Mr. Sato. Yes! There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilder, look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Von Zeeks. My lord. I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade, of the sort typically employed by the army. Good gracious! The army! What in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught, and now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in my court? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior?
If I may, my lord.
Yes, Mr. McGilded.
I think perhaps I ought to explain here why it is that this wee lass was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that. 'Tis all tied up with the events of last night, so it is.
Very well, Mr. McGilded. Give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case. Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. No, totally not.
Go on, cough it up now. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a young fellow collapsed on the floor at me feet, so I set him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find where the scream had come from. Bless me soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away.
I remain somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I gather, on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus. Is that correct?
'Tis exactly as the defence counsel said, my lord. This lass was the fifth passenger, my lord.
Very well. The defence may now cross-examine the witnesses. Are you ready, counsel?
Yes, my lord.
Or rather, no. No idea where to start. Well, I say we just press. That usually gets us somewhere, right?
Hold it!
And when you first got into the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board?
There were not. The cabin was empty, and there was no one on the roof deck either.
You were the first passenger, as it were. I see.
Aye, and that's when I took the back side as I did. 'Tis the most comfortable, so it is.
Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat?
By all means, it is how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, it is the most comfortable and where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well.
A loud thud, you say? And a scream?
Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? Just like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise.
So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor, having been stabbed?
No, you remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me up and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fellow on the floor.
You didn't see anyone. But at the same moment, you did hear a scream. From the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume.
Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before me eyes.
You didn't care to call for help? You sat him up? The victim, you mean?
Yes, I did. On the seat across from me, as I said, I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. But you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? 'Tis common courtesy, so it is.
I find that a little hard to believe.
Lord Von Zeeks, now why would that be?
You wait to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is.
Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business.
The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest.
Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for their help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble.
Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there?
Heavens alive, no! I wasn't always intended to report it, so I was. Only, I had a mind to find out the whys and wherefores first.
They're the same thing, but okay. The why and the why. The whys and the wherefores.
Right you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same?
Yes. The scream he says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing.
Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from. And bless me soul, what did I find?
I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except you and the victim.
So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is.
What do you mean by that?
Well, now, 'tis a queer thing. The wee scream I heard as I woke up. It came from, if you excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside.
Good gracious! Under your backside?
And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage.
Mr. Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember?
We saw that. We saw that. Yes, of course. The whole bus was submitted as evidence. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. Do you want to do it again? Shall we do it again? And that's when I found her. I'm pretty sure we confirmed that, yes. Do you really want to see it again? I want to press this guy first, and give me a moment to settle. I'm pretty sure we confirmed it earlier. Although, there was that whole scuffle earlier. Let's make sure nothing's been tampered with. Suppose. Hold on, let me examine the outside first. This time. Phoenix Wright. I wonder what's a Phoenix Wright. Okay, looks normal. What about the inside? Let's pop on in. Well, proceed. Let's see it again. What is this? What's this here before? That's blood, isn't it? Looks a different colour, but alright. Looks a bit too orange. Is something wrong? Oh, it's just... well, its bloodstain is so obvious is all. And yet Von Zeus has made no mention of it. I suppose that does seem a little strange. I'm pretty sure it wasn't him. Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? Oh, good heavens. Uh-oh. I'm scared of what this all implies. Since we're talking about this area, why not check it out? Pretty sure that wasn't on the floor. What else was tampered? Let's be thorough. I'm pretty sure there was some stuff in here before. What's going on here? This is a storage compartment. But there's nothing in here. It's totally empty. Something doesn't seem right here. But I can't put my finger on what it is. This is rather dubious. What's going on there? You say she was hiding herself. Hey, that's right. It was hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball. When our eyes met, well, me heart nearly stopped beating in me chest. Oh, you're really overacting this. Acting, huh? Interesting words, Yunosuke. Still and all, I pulled her from under there. Sat her on the seat opposite me so I could have a wee chinwag with her. The seat opposite? Is that who the gentleman above saw then? This girl? That's right. Just next to the dead gentleman there. Don't traumatize her. What the heck? That's a dead body. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this little urchin was, you see. While I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream, a fearless voice this time. Presumably, that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with his knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGilded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and the late Mr. Mason. Aye, my lord. was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage, out of sight. It is certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused perhaps with this young girl. After that, of course, with the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. Thank you, I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Let's see if we can beat you to it. Let's see. Not sure how this has evolved. It's just more lore on Mr. McGilded, I believe. I wonder where this came from. It's not a W, is it? Dang it.